as good a ball as Willis has bowled. It was up, it was on a length, it was on line, it moved in a little, and Richard simply walked into it and on drove it.
His first cricket commentary was in 1946. He didn't miss a test in England after that. In the 50s, Arlott flirted with politics as an unsuccessful Liberal candidate in Epping. But by now, his love of cricket was dominant. As a commentator, he was peerless. Arlott wrote, too, more than 40 books and regular reports for the Guardian newspaper. He wrote as well on wine, another of his great loves. It was perhaps his ultimate pleasure, sipping a fine red, talking cricket. In 1980, Arlott made his final test commentary, the centenary match against Australia at Lord's. He left the cricketing stage unobtrusively. No fuss, no goodbyes.
After Trevor Brady, it will be Christopher Martin Jenkins.
But the spontaneous applause of his fellow commentators said it all.
The club's most famous chairman was John Arlott, CBE, who loved Alderney and lived here for the last 11 years of his life.
The first time any of us have ever seen a batsman who is neither right-handed nor left-handed, but makes up his mind as the ball is on the way.
He was a great character and raconteur and very much part of the Alderney scene.
No, I think it'll be quick for you, and you're getting on a little bit now. Got a couple of games this year now. Yes. No, that's fine. They'll be arriving about 10ish, I assume.
It's only on the field itself there might be problems, according to the wise old man of Alderney cricket, John Arlott, who has his own views on the captain, Ray Parkin.
He's perfect. He can't bat, he can't bowl, he can't captain, but he's a hell of a nice chap.
Who chooses the team?
He does. Well, they choose it themselves just by turning up, you know.
How many can they choose from?
Not many, about 11 as a rule.
Warning notices to be erected around the ground in French. France, after all, is only 8 miles away. But none of this wins matches, according to wise old man John Arlott. Of course, that's not his official position.
I'm the chairman.
Now, what does that involve?
Chairing the annual general meeting and turning up the matches and taking bottles of fizz to refresh both teams after the match.
Do you ever discuss policy at all?
Yes. And I say something and the captain contradicts it, and that's the end of the thing.
If you were advisor to the Aboriginal side, what would you tell them to do to ensure winning?
Well, just to take it easy. Not knock anybody out.
John, who do you think will win?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it, the Aboriginals. Easily.
Why? Alderney have a very good reputation on their own ground, and they don't play on any other ground.
No, but there are only two players good enough to stand up to the Aboriginals at all. One good batsman who really can score fast and well, and one all-rounder, but for the rest, they wouldn't measure up. Delighted to meet you, and I must say, in these sweaters and those baggy caps, I'd have taken you for ordinary Australians if you had not been so damn polite.
I was really fond of John Arlott. I'd known him for years and years. He was always the greatest name in cricket. I mean, we all admired him. He was just a one-off. There was never another one at all like him. But when he came to live here after he retired, another side of John emerged very unexpectedly. He became an actor. Now you may find this hard to believe, but he was a very good actor, and we used to write special parts for him in the Rosebud films, 3 silent films, black and white, made by Ronnie Cairnduff, and with John as a really leading thespian in it. Rosebud and the Girl from Caskets, that was great fun, it really was. He was the wicked grandfather, and there was one marvellous scene when Rosebud was chased by the wicked lighthouse keeper round and round the top of the lighthouse, and the wicked lighthouse keeper, who really loved every moment of it, was Dotty. And then there was Rosebud and the Godfathers. Now in that, John started off as a pirate rowing ashore, and it was all set in the 18th century to start with. And then we suddenly become modern at the very end, and he, believe it or not, is a wicked Aurigny pilot. He suddenly turns around. That was great fun filming in the aircraft. And finally, I think my favourite of all, Rosebud and the Murder on the Alderney Express. And it was a takeoff of the famous film about the Orient Express. And we filmed the entire thing practically on the train here, on the little train, and everybody was in it, they really were, and John really enjoyed that. Well, we all did. I really missed John. I was, very fond of him. And he used to ring me up every morning about 9 o'clock, and this voice would say, "When are you going to come and see me?" And I used to go in about twice a week always. And I miss him dreadfully, but the thing is that ever since then, one of the things he really loved was John Arlott's chutney. And ever since then, about 4 or 5 times a year now, I make chutney, and on the labels I always put John Arlott's spring chutney, John Arlott's summer chutney, John Arlott's winter chutney, or whatever, and everybody loves it, just like we loved him.
Well, he was marvellous to work with because he was the real professional, but he had the edge over us. He was a poet, so he could do these marvellous pictures painted with words, which we couldn't do, and had never been able to do. And he had this marvellous turn of phrase and the wit, the knowledge. He had this deep love of cricket, and he loved cricketers. And the great tribute, which I know he liked better know, when they made him president of their association. He's still was president up to last night.
A crisp, clear winter's morning greeted the mourners as they made their way slowly to St Anne's Church. The stark beauty of the leafless trees, bathed in sunshine, belied the sadness of the occasion. Young and old, friend and relative, they'd come to say goodbye to an adopted son, a man who'd made Alderney his home and become an integral part of its fabric. John Arlott inspired loyalty and devotion in his friends and returned it in equal measure, leaving mourners fighting valiantly between the sadness of his death and the wealth of happy memories he left behind. His wife Pat, best friend Jack Donovan, and his son Robert were the last to arrive. Inside the church, Jack gave a moving tribute to his friend of nearly 70 years. He paid special tribute to John's family and Jeff Renard and June Godion, who helped look after John in the final months. His voice choked with emotion as he said his final farewell. John Arlott was a multi-talented man, and the congregation sang a hymn written by him. John Arlott spent most of his life in Hampshire, but it was here, in his adopted home, that he chose to be buried. He had a deep, abiding influence on many people's lives. John Arlott lived a full and largely happy life, and everyone has their favourite memory.
My favourite story of John regarding cricket is the fact he told me the story of that in cricket, when you're out, even if you're not out.
In 1979, he telephoned, and I heard this voice saying, "I'd like a double room with a private bathroom and a couple of singles or a twin." And I thought, I know this voice, you know. And then he said, "Arlott's the name." And I thought, of course it is. Because, of course, I suppose he was the most instantly recognizable voice in Britain for so long. He came and stayed at my hotel, and we've been great friends ever since. And I shall miss him tremendously, yeah.
Every time I came to Alderney, it was to see John Arlott, and today I didn't come to see him, or I came to say goodbye to him. But he was a very warm, passionate, emotional man, sometimes sentimental, strong feelings.
I've known John since I was 15. He's just a very important part of my life as a friend, someone I used to be able to go and sit, and the times were good or bad, you know, sit down and have a glass of wine, and we used to put the world to rights a few times.
How do you think he'd like to be remembered?
As a man that probably enjoyed life. He wasn't here for a long time, but he was here for a bloody good time.
John Arlott gave up commentating in 1980. His gruff, articulate descriptions of the game, which typifies the English, have been sadly missed. But he didn't change. His family and friends were able to enjoy his retirement in Alderney. But now the unique Hampshire burr is gone forever, leaving only a wealth of memories and a host of fond farewells.
He was just obsessed with cricket, and I think he was his own unique person with this marvellous Hampshire burr. It was cricket.
69 foot 10. 69 foot 10. 69.
By the cruelest irony, it was the voice, that famous voice, which, far from simply weakening with age, could sometimes barely be summoned at all, so merciless were the emphysema and bronchitis. Forced to listen, with little strength for response, he would smile his crinkly smile and wink by way of reassurance. Thanks to recording technology, John Arlott's voice will be heard at the touch of a switch, and his kindly face can be called up on the screen forevermore. For this we must be thankful.